Hello everybody, so today we are going to do a beginner's neutral eyeshadow look. So I thought I would do kind of like a walkthrough or a tutorial on how to do a natural neutral look if you're new to makeup, or maybe if you are looking for a quick and easy way to throw on some eyeshadow that you can wear to work. It's work appropriate or it's daytime appropriate. You know, sometimes you might not want that dramatic look, or maybe you are just new to makeup and you don't know where to start. So I thought I would film this and kind of do a quick walkthrough of like one of my go-to looks when I want something easy and natural and quick. The palette I'm using today to share this with you is the Warrior 2 by Juvia's Place. Looks like this, and then inside it is this beautiful arrangement of just matte natural shades. One of my favorite kind of neutral looks is just like a basic brown look, because I feel like brown just looks really nice on all skin tones, I feel, and this has a really nice range of warm browns that you can use, and there's a lot of deepness. There's a lot of different kind of avenues you can go, which is why I really like Juvia's. When they put palettes together, they really put thought into a variety of skin shades that will be using this palette. So this is a all matte palette. There's no shimmers. We're not going to do a shimmer today. I'm going to keep it as basic as possible, but even though you're doing a basic look, it doesn't mean that it isn't going to look beautiful. So we are going to start. So first things first, it's your choice if you want a eyeshadow primer or not. I like eyeshadow primer. I have a really oily eyelid. I don't know why. My eyelids just are very, very oily. And so if I don't wear an eyeshadow primer, my eyeshadow creases throughout the day. So it's your choice. If you don't have an issue with creasing eyeshadow, or you don't mind if your eyeshadow kind of breaks apart and, you know, creases a little bit throughout the day, then don't worry about eyeshadow primer. However, if you're like me and you're kind of prone to oily eyelids and your eyeshadow kind of breaks apart after a few hours of wearing it, then eyeshadow primer might be for you. Totally your choice. I'm going to put some primer on. So primer, you can either do an actual product that is made as an eyeshadow primer. However, you could also use concealer. I feel like the most successful my eyeshadows last, like the longer my eyeshadow lasts, it's usually when I use a concealer as a primer. Today I'm just going to use my MAC paint pot because this is what I have handy right here. So I'm going to zoom you in and I'm going to show you how I put the primer on. So I usually go in with my finger and I just lightly tap it on my eyelid. So usually, depending on the texture of the eye primer, you will generally want to just kind of tap it into your skin because it lets the primer kind of set with a smooth texture, instead of when you smear it, it can leave streaks, and then, you know, you could have a little bit of an issue with blending. So I like to just kind of tap it on. Make sure it's a thin coat. It's not overly thick because you'll have kind of a texture issue with blending. So I like to put primer up to my eyebrow because I have hooded eyes, and what that means is when my eyes are open, you don't see much of my eyelid. Some people are blessed with lid space. I'm not. That's fine. We can still do a beautiful look when you have hooded eyes, but when you have hooded eyes, you usually want to utilize the space between your crease and your brow. So I like to put darker shades on the outside here in between, to kind of give the illusion that my eyes are not hooded. I'll get more into that as we go and we blend. So now that we have the primer blended out, what you want to do is kind of take a shade that is reminiscent of your skin tone. So it doesn't have to be exact. For example, I'm going to be using the shade Zazz. That's this shade right here. Obviously it's lighter than me, but it's not so drastically far from my skin tone. So if you're darker than me, use a slightly darker shade, and if you're lighter than me, use a lighter shade. You kind of want it to kind of melt into your skin. So You can use a pigmented eyeshadow like I'm doing, or you could use a transparent setting powder, whatever you want, but basically whatever is going to set that primer so that you can blend easily on top without it dragging or eyeshadow sticking in areas that you don't want it to stick. One of my favorite brushes that I use is this fluffy angled brush. And I love this because it can really get into the crease, it blends, but it's tapered enough that you can really focus it in one area. And this is the kind of brush that I will use for an entire eyeshadow look without switching brushes and stuff like that. I really, really love this kind of a brush. So we're going to dip into Zaz, this shade, and we're going to tap it off because if you're a beginner, you might not know, but if you don't tap off your brush, when you go to apply it, it's possible that eyeshadow will fall onto the rest of your makeup and ruin it. However, if you put some powder underneath your eye and then you can brush away with your powder brush after the fact, sometimes it's not as bad. If you do forget to tap off your brush and you have some fallout, that's an easy trick to get rid of it without ruining the rest of your makeup. So I am just tapping this all over my eye where I put that primer. A nice trick to see if your primer is set is just to kind of run your finger very lightly, and if it feels silky and you have no areas that are a little sticky, then your primer is set. Now, if you did not put primer on or concealer, no problem, but I would still recommend putting a base shadow down because it will set your eyelids even without primer, because you might have some leftover oil on your eyelids, or maybe you have some moisturizer on your eyelids, you know, whatever is on there, it will give you a nice dry silky base. So once that is set, you want to start with a transition shade. So a transition shade is a shade that you put into your crease that will help blend the darker shades later on. So in this case we're going to use Kana, which is this shade right here. I'm going to take it, tap it, and we're going to start placing that just in the crease. Now if you have hooded eyes like me, I like to take my crease shades and kind of bring them out straight here. So where my natural eye kind of goes in to where that's kind of hidden there, I like to take like from there and go straight with my crease like this. And that kind of creates the illusion that I have some shadow there. It's kind of like contouring, but for your eye. An easy way to remember this trick is to look at your eye, and when you have it kind of half open like that to start blending, go above your crease. So where I have this line right there where my lid is kind of starting to fold in, go right in there and go slightly above it. And that will be so that when you open your eye, you can see that pigment there. So you can see that the transition shade isn't hugely pigmented. It doesn't create a dramatic look or anything, but it is a nice base to put in your crease so that everything just kind of blends better. Think of it as like the outline of a drawing. Next, we are going to go in with Yodit. Forgive me, I don't know how these words are pronounced, but it is this shade right here. It's a little bit darker, it's a little bit warmer, it's more of a yellow brown, but this will serve really nicely in the crease. So everywhere that you just put that transition shade, feel free to put this shade. Now as you're applying, you want to swirl your brush to blend these shadows together. Blending is fairly easy. You know when you're done blending when you don't see a clear line of color. When it looks like it's just kind of fading up, that's how you know it's blended. Something else that is important is that when you blend, you don't want to push your brush too hard or too firmly. You really want to let the bristles do the work. So you apply gentle pressure and then let the brush actually blend on its own. Next, we are going to go in with Kufuru, which is this shade right here. We're slowly getting darker. So we're going to go in with the same old brush. Like I said, this isn't going to be the super difficult look. We're going to go in basic quick, because when this video is going to be longer because I'm explaining, but when you actually do this look, it really is like a 5-minute look. We're going to take this deeper shade, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. And what we're going to do is we're going to reverse this, and we're going to try to keep this only in our line. So how we were blending that above the line, this is only going in the line. You don't want to blend this up. You want to keep this here and don't really touch that. When we blend, this will naturally blend with that area and it'll look like a diffusion of color, but you just want to keep this right in that crease. See the difference? So with that brush, we are going to just lightly blend with like the fluffy edge. Now you could use a regular blending brush for this, but like I said, this is kind of like a tapered blending brush, so it works. But you're just gonna gently kind of blend right in that crease. So this is the point where I can say to you, you can stop here, throw mascara on or some eyeliner, and you're good to go. Right, it looks very basic, but when you have everything on together, it's actually really nice because it's natural. It's like a natural look where your eyes are emphasized, you have some depth in there, you have some color in there, but it's just enough. Put a little bit of highlighter on your brow bone and you're good to go. You can choose that 100%. Personally, I'm going to add a little bit more darkness to this, a little bit more depth. You don't have to, but this is me. I'm going to show you how you can do that without having like a super dramatic look. So feel free. You can stop here, throw your lashes on, and you're good to go. But we are going to add in the shade Wilzana, which is this shade right here. So I'm going to take a different brush for this because I want to kind of show you my trick when it comes to adding a dark shade like this. So sometimes I will take a flat brush like this and I will dip into a darker shade, tap that off, and what I like to do is where my line is, where my crease is, that fold, I like to specifically put like a dark shade just in that area right there. And I like to kind of draw it on, and I like to keep it just on that outer edge. And I'm going to show you, once it's blended, the difference it creates. So I'm going to use my brush here to just blend it out. The key is to using that small brush, that angled brush, you can keep that depth in one area and then blend it out so that the most pigment is right where you want it to be. And you can kind of see the difference. This just has that extra little bit of like, you know what I mean? You don't have to add that in, but I like that. I like the way it emphasizes my eye structure. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye. And when you're messing with darker shades like this, if you have hooded eyes, depending on your eye shape, you might want to just keep them on the outer corner instead of bringing them in to your inner portion of your eye, because generally people want their eyes to look bigger. They want to emphasize their eyes. They don't want to make their eyes look smaller. I mean, some people do, but when you keep the darker shade just on the outside, it helps brighten up that inner corner of your eye and it makes your eyes look a little bit bigger and brighter. So that's that. So I'm going to leave it there. What I like to do now is I like to take one of my small brushes like this, and I'm going to go into Kana down here again, that transition shade, and I'm going to tap it off, and I'm just going to bring this right here and kind of connect it to that color very lightly. And this just kind of finishes off the look, helps emphasize your eyes a little bit more, helps the white of your eyes stand out more, and then we're done with the palette. So next, this again is optional. You can throw on lashes. I'm just going to show you ways that when I do a natural neutral look to kind of just amp it up a little bit, make it look a little bit more dramatic. You don't have to do this, throw on lashes, you're good. But I like to brighten up my eyes a little bit more. So I like to take a fluffy brush and I like to dip into some highlighter. And I like to highlight my brow bone, which again just lifts up your face. I like to pop it right in here, which brightens up the center of your face. And then last, we put on some mascara. So I love my Essence Lash Princess mascara. This is my favorite mascara of all time. It's amazing. But whatever mascara you have, just throw some on. So that is the look. I'm going to zoom you out. So that is the look. And like I said, this video is maybe a little bit longer than how long it will actually take you to do this look. I mean, it'll take you like 5 minutes, just boom, 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 boom. It's up to you if you want to take it another step and do some eyeliner on the top lid. You don't have to. I think these kind of looks are really, really pretty when they're just the shades and they emphasize your eyes. So again, that was using Warrior 2 by Juvia's, this beautiful palette. They have a ton of really nice neutral palettes. I mean, they have palettes that are like wild and crazy shades as well, but like one of my other favorite palettes is this shade, or is this palette. Really neutral, pretty, and that's the Nubian by Juvia's. They have a ton of awesome palettes that are really affordable. They are a black-owned brand, so I would definitely check them out. But I have a ton of Juvia's. I've always loved Juvia's. They have a lot of amazing palettes. This is another one. Awesome. Pigment, quality, blendability, originality. They have it all. Affordability. They have it all. So yeah, this is the look. Let me know what you think. Is this a good beginner's look? Are you going to try and recreate this? If so, I am on Instagram. Please take a photo and send it to me. I would love to see your version of this look. Yeah, let me know. Would you like more videos like this in the future? Maybe we can do like a cool toned neutral look, a smoky neutral look. Any other beginner videos you would like? Let me know. I love you all. I will see you in the next video. Stay safe. Bye guys.